This is Sir Jello and welcome to Chalk Talk with Teacher Jello. For this video, we are going to talk about how to make an action research proposal. This video is made para mas mapadali on the part of our teachers ang paggawa ng action research proposal. This will be a video series, and for this video, we are going to particularly talk about the first part of the action research proposal, which is the context and rationale. Kaya naman, let's begin! Good day, everyone! Once again, this is Sir Renz Angelo D. Calzada, and welcome to Chalk Talk with Teacher Jello. And for this day, we are going to discuss about writing action research proposal. As we all know, as a teacher, it's very important for us to know how to write action research because this is one of the ways for us to address existing problems that most teachers encounter inside the classroom, especially those problems pertaining to the least learned competencies of a particular learning area or subject. So, wala na tayong paligoy-ligoy with this. Dediretso kaagad tayo doon sa ating template and the parts of our action research as stipulated in the DepEd order when it comes to making a basic and action research. So ang focus natin for today is all about the action research. So let's begin with the parts of the proposed action research because this is the very important document that we have to submit in the division office and has to be approved by the school's division superintendent so that our action research will be valid. And we can also use this one as one of our documents when we opt to apply for promotion in the future. So the first part would be, of course, the title page. That is the very basic. The second part will be the context and rationale. The third one is action research questions. Fourth is proposed innovation, intervention, and strategy. The fifth one is action research methods, and meron siyang tatlong parts ang action research methods. We have the participants, other sources of data, and information. Second, for action research methods, meron din tayo dyang data gathering method. And lastly is data analysis plan. For part 6 of the proposal of your action research is action research work plan and timelines. Seventh part is the cost estimates. The eighth part is plans for dissemination and utilization. And of course, the last one will be your references. So these are the parts that we have to prepare and to complete as we make our action research proposal. Kapag natapos na ating action research proposal, gagawa naman tayo ng completed action research, and these are the parts. Of course, nandiyan ang title page. Madadagdag dito ngayon ang abstract. And may ma-add din for the third part will be the acknowledgement. Still, nandiyan pa rin ang context and rationale. Next, or the fifth part will be innovation, intervention, and strategy. The sixth part will be action research questions, which are actually present in the proposed action research. The seventh part will be action research methods, which comprise of participants, other sources of data and information. We also have the data gathering method and the data analysis plan. Next, or the part 8 is discussion of results. So these are one of the things that can be found and added to the completed action research paper. And this is not seen in the proposal of your action research. And meron pa, kailangan din nating gagawa ng reflection. And of course, the 10th part is plan for dissemination and utilization. And lastly, your references. So mamaya na lang tayo, hindi muna natin itatouch yung mga parts ng completed action research kasi magsisimula pa lang tayo. So the very most important thing is to complete and submit our action research proposal. So ano bang pinagkaiba ng proposal doon sa completed action research aside from there are things that are being added in the completed action research paper. So of course, in the proposal, since proposal pa siya, ang verb natin doon will be in the future tense. So while in the completed action research, it is presumed na tapos na siya, so the verb will be in past tense. So this is the document that we want to have, no, especially when we want to conduct an action research. Siyempre, kailangan, as I said a while ago, that our action research proposal is approved by the school's division superintendent. So this document, you have to secure this one for, of course, para valid yung pag-conduct mo ng study, and you can also use this one for promotion in the future. So, when making an action research, kailangan natin maging direct to the point, and we have to really establish what are the certain topics or what are the certain factors that you want to focus on, and kailangan nating i-avoid ang mga sumusunod. Number one is being too vague, masyado siyang broad. For example, titles like A Study on Education that fail to provide specifics about the focus, action, or outcomes. Pangalawa, iwasan din natin yung mga overly long titles. So keep the title concise, ideally between 10 to 15 words. That is according to Hartley in 2008. Pangatlo na dapat nating iwasan is missing the action element. Ensure the title includes a clear reference to the action or intervention being studied according to Zuber Skerrit in 1996. So of course, when making an action research, especially in the title pa lang, kailangan nakita na natin doon ang lahat ng elements. Who are your participants? Ano yung intervention na gagawin mo since this is an action research, or what is the action that you're going to do to solve the existing problem. At syempre, yung problema should have be seen in the title para by the moment the readers of your research paper will be able to understand sa title pa lang kung ano ang magiging takbo ng research mo and what is it's all about. So when we are structuring the title, these are the formula that we can follow. So mas pinadali ito siya so that teachers will be hindi na mahirapan no in formulating the title kasi this is one of the common problems talaga and common struggles of most teachers who are doing action research. They don't know how to frame their title. So the first formula that the teachers may use is outcome plus problem plus intervention plus context. When we say outcome, ano yung magiging gusto mong resulta? Okay? And then followed by the problem. Ano yung problema na you are currently experiencing? Let's say for example, in teaching a specific subject. Then, it is followed by the intervention. Ano yung action na gagawin mo for you to achieve your outcome and to address the problem? And of course, the intervention is followed by the context. So that also includes who are your participants, where is the study is being conducted if it's applicable. So let's have an example for that. So outcome plus problem plus intervention plus context. Let's begin with the outcome. So the outcome will be improving. Okay? So of course, yung outcome gusto mong mag-improve. Ano yung gusto mong ma-improve? Ano pala yung problema? So the problem here is about student engagement. So most probably, merong problema when it comes to the participation and cooperation of the students during, let's say for example, in a class when you're having a class. Next, what will be your intervention? So the intervention na ginamit ni teacher dito is using collaborative learning strategies. So that is the intervention. Next is context. The context is grade 6 NARA students. So, mas madali na siya ngayon kasi meron na tayong formula na ifa-follow. So, improving, that's the outcome. And the outcome has to be a verb with an ing. Okay? And we call that one as gerund, diba? So, improving. Pwede din diyang enhancing. Okay? So, those kind of verbs or the gerunds na pwede natin gamitin that will describe the outcome that we desire in the problem that you're currently that you are currently experiencing. Okay, followed by the problem, which is student engagement, then intervention, which is by using collaborative learning strategies, and the last one will be the context, who are your participants, the grade 6 NARA students. Okay. The second formula that we may use is pwedeng mauna ang intervention. So intervention plus outcome plus problem plus context. Let's have an example. So our example is still anchored on the first example that we have presented a while ago. So for the intervention, it's collaborative learning strategies. That is the intervention that the teacher will be using. Next is the outcome. Ano yung magiging outcome niya? So, you want to improve. What do you want to improve? The engagement of the students. Ano pala yung problema? Of course, it has something to do with the student engagement. Okay? And the context, who are your participants? The grade 6 NARA students. So, as easy as that. So, masyadong madaling gumawa ng title because we already have our formula. So, it's either of the two. You can use either of the formula, walang mali, as long as all the elements that are being mentioned are present, so that by the moment the readers will be able to read your research paper, sa title pa lang, alam na nila kung ano yung nilalaman ng research na babasahin nila. Okay? And it would be very understandable on their part. Now, let us now proceed with the second part of your action research proposal, and that is the context and rationale. So this is the first part of the action research proposal wherein you will be dealing with paragraphs. Dito na natin isisiwalat kung ano yung magiging problema, ano yung mga naging experiences ni teachers, okay? And for this topic, we have the following objectives. Number one, you are going to write the context and rationale of your action research. Pangalawa, answer the guide questions to produce the required paragraph. Okay? Now, let's begin. You know what? One of the common problems of the teachers talaga when they are making an action research is hindi nila alam kung paano magsimula. And most of them don't have an idea as to what are the things that they are going to put in the first part of the action research proposal, especially on the part which is the context and rationale. To make our lives easier, so we have prepared something, and this will be a step-by-step process wherein you will be guided by a guide questions. The moment you're going to answer the guide questions, malalaman mo na as to how you're going to frame your paragraphs for the context and rationale. So basically, according to this, the context and rationale is composed of 4 paragraphs. The first paragraph is all about the general situation. It's very understandable. Ano yung situation mo as a teacher? Are you what grade level particularly you are teaching? What subject you're teaching? And second will be the second paragraph is anchored theory. Third paragraph is all about the urgency of the problem. And the fourth paragraph is all about plan of action and significance of your study. Okay? Now let's begin with the first paragraph. So for the first paragraph, it's all about general situation. As I said a while ago, hindi na natin pahihirapan ang ating mga sarili. So we have prepared here guide questions, and these are the questions that you're going to answer for you to frame the first paragraph of your context and rationale. The first question is, what grade level and or subject are you teaching? Okay, so that's very basic. Pangalawa, what is the specific problem or issue that needs to be addressed? You know what? The questions here are very easy, and it's very easy for you to answer because it has something to do with yourself as a teacher. The third question here is, how did the problem initially come to your attention? The fourth question that you're going to answer is, what are the key characteristics or attributes of the problem? Fifth, what are the underlying causes or factors contributing to the problem? And the last question that you're going to answer for you to build your first paragraph is, how many individuals or groups does it affect? Now, let us try to have an example here. So let us try to answer the first question. What grade level and or subject you are teaching or are you teaching? Here's an example answer. I am a grade 6 teacher. My primary concern is teaching my learners to read at their grade level. So it has something to do with the reading competency or the ability of the learners to read among, and the learners or the teacher is teaching the grade 6 students. Okay? Next question. What is a specific problem or issue that needs to be addressed? Here's the answer. The problem I encounter is that some learners read very slow at their grade level. So mahina magbasa ang mga bata in grade 6 kung saan siya nagtuturo. So, commonly, this is really one of the problems nowadays. Madaming mga bata, though marunong silang magbasa, pero mahina. And kadalasan sa mga mahina magbasa ay hindi gaanong nakakaintindi sa kung ano ang kanilang binabasa. Let's proceed to the third question. How did the problem initially come to your attention? So here's the answer. I noticed this problem when I let them read a short paragraph in Filipino. Sa Filipino pala niya pinabasa. Madami talagang mga students na hihirapan magbasa ng Filipino. I have also students in the senior high school who are really struggling, and although they can read Filipino text, but they are struggling in understanding what they are reading. Now, let's proceed to the fourth question. What are the key characteristics or attributes of the problem? When my pupils read, it takes them a lot of time to finish a short paragraph, and they frequently pause between each word. O ayun pala, sa pagbabasa nila, mahina talaga siya kasi paputol-putol, hindi tuloy-tuloy. Next question. What are the underlying causes or factors contributing to the problem? The answer. I observe that this is due to their inability to recognize words at a glance. So yun pala. Now, the last question is, how many individuals or groups does it affect? I have identified 5 learners in my class who are reading very slowly. Okay? So, may tanong. Actually, this is one of the common questions that most of my colleagues are asking me. Kapag ba gumagawa ng action research, kailangan ba sobrang daming mga participants? Well, the answer is no. Hindi naman kailangan sobrang dami. Pwedeng ang isa, pwedeng dalawa, madami na nga ang 10. Kasi Usually, in our class, hindi naman talaga yan lahat ang nag-struggle on a particular problem. Let's say, for example, in solving mathematical problem, about reading, or understanding a specific competency in science. Hindi naman lahat ng students ay nag-struggle. There are only few students who are having a hard time understanding a specific competency or achieving a specific competency or skill. Let's say, for example, in reading and comprehension. Kaya naman, mas mabuti if you have to really understand and identify who these students are para mas madali sa'yo to address the problem that your students and you yourself also is experiencing. Okay? So when we are making an action research, actually hindi talaga siya, we cannot categorize action research as quantitative and qualitative. Actually, the research method for action research is actually a research method, action research method. That is the method that we'll be using for this kind of research. So hindi natin sasabihin, this is qualitative, this is quantitative. But to make it clear, although I mentioned that the method that we will be using for action research is research method, action research is actually leaning towards qualitative. Bakit siya qualitative? Because in action research kasi, it's more on observation, the possible problem that you will be addressing. And aside from that, after identifying the problem, you're going to observe as well ano yung naging epekto the moment that you have administered or applied your intervention to your class to address the problem. And as you can remember a while ago, as I presented the parts of the completed action research, doon sa last part, meron kayong makikita na reflection. So you're going to put your reflection as a teacher about the action research that you did, whether the intervention is effective, na-address ba talaga yung problema. So that's why, as you can see here, ito si teacher in the example that I have given, meron lang siyang 5 learners. Di ba usually in the qualitative, hindi naman talaga ganun kadaming mga participants na gagamitin natin for our action research. So ganon. Now, what we're going to do with your answers is i-combine natin siya to make a paragraph for us to have our first paragraph for the context and rationale. So that's very easy. So ganun lang siya kadali. So now, do not forget these guide questions because these guide questions are very important for you to frame your first paragraph. So this time, let us coherently combine all the sentences. So here it goes. I am a grade 6 teacher. My primary concern is teaching my learners to read at their grade level. However, some learners read very slowly at their grade level. This issue becomes evident when I have them read a short paragraph in Filipino. It takes them a considerable amount of time to finish even a brief passage, and they often pave between each word. Upon observation, I identified the root cause of this challenge, their inability to recognize words at a glance. In my class, I have identified 5 pupils who struggle with reading at a slower pace. So, saan ba nanggaling itong mga sentences na ito in this specific paragraph? Galing ito siya doon sa answers natin sa guide questions. So, all we need to do is to combine them all for us to create our first paragraph for the context and rationale. So, ganun lang kadali. So, we have now our first paragraph. Now, let's proceed on our second paragraph for our context and rationale. And this is all about the anchor theory. So, what we're going to do here is we're going to cite any theory related studies, DepEd policies, or laws that would strengthen your claims about the intervention or treatment you plan to implement. So, importante talaga na meron tayong theory about doon sa problema or doon sa possible na intervention na ilalapat natin to address the problem so that everything will be reliable. Kasi kung walang theory, para bang hindi tayo sure kung ano ba yung naging basihan natin, whether it is effective or not. Okay? So let's have an example. So, as I said a while ago, it's not only a theory, it could also be a DepEd policy, it could be a DepEd order. Okay? So, for this example, we have here a study by Elkins et al. In 2023. Okay, found that using slow reading techniques such as reflective rereading led to a deeper connection with the material among learners. This improved integration of new concepts with existing knowledge highlights the value of slow reading in education. So as you can see, this theory is addressing the context in the first paragraph that we did a while ago. So it's all about the slow reading, ang mga bata ay mahina magbasa. So according dito sa study ni Elkins in 2023, yung mga slow reading techniques na posibleng gamitin ni teacher such as reflective rereading ay maaring maging effective, no, para ma-address yung problema doon sa pagbabasa ng mga bata. Okay, let's continue. Moreover, slow reading can be explained by the automaticity theory by LaBerge and Samuels in 1974. This theory suggests that slow reading occurs when learners have not yet developed automaticity in word recognition, requiring them to focus on decoding rather than comprehension. As learners improve their word recognition speed, their reading fluency increases, allowing them to allocate more cognitive resources to understanding the text. So, this is another theory. So, nagtataka kayo bakit meron namang reference doon sa nauna? Bakit meron na namang iba dito sa pangalawa? Well, actually, as suggested in making an action research, especially in our proposal on this part of our context and rationale, as much as possible, we need to provide at least 3 to 5 references. At least 3 to 5 references, which could be a theory, it could be a literature that supports the study that we're talking about. It could also be a DepEd policy, a DepEd order, a DepEd memorandum, whichever applies. Okay? So that was the second paragraph. So ayun, so pwede kang gumamit ng tatlong theories. So anyway, everything is easy now in searching a relevant theory. Kailangan na din nating i-make sure na relevant yung theory or literature na ilalagay natin doon so that um, hindi siya parang sabog, kung basahin. Kailangan may kinalaman talaga yung theory na gagamitin natin para sa ating action research. So, once again, please be reminded na as much as possible, hindi kailangan sobrang dami ng literatures or references na ilalagay mo for the second part. You can actually have at least 3 to 5 lang. Okay? As long as you follow the proper way of citing, so alam naman natin yan, para we will be following, of course, for this, we'll be following the APA format. Okay, and that is the one that is applicable, especially in what they call that one in social sciences, and that includes education. Okay, now this time, let us proceed to the third paragraph, which is the urgency of the problem and plan of action. Okay, so for the third paragraph, hindi tayo mahihirapan dito because we have guide questions that we're going to answer for us to frame our third paragraph. Okay? So here are the questions. Why is it important to address this problem immediately? Second, what strategies or approaches will be employed to address the problem as the plan of action? Third, what resources or support are needed to effectively implement the action plan? Next is, what are the potential barriers or challenges that could hinder the successful execution of the plan and how can they be mitigated? So let's try to answer them. So for the first question, why is it important to address this problem immediately? So here's the possible answer. Addressing this problem immediately is crucial because slow reading skills significantly impact learners' ability to participate actively in class discussions, comprehend text, and maintain focus. If the child is reading slowly, it can affect his confidence in speaking and reading in front of the class. By helping my pupils improve their reading skills, I can unlock their full potential and facilitate their overall development. So masyado lang siyang madali kasi yung tanong ay nagtatanong about doon sa problema na na-experience mo. And tinatanong lang naman dito, bakit siya kailangang i-address? Bakit siya mahalagang i-address ang problemang ito? So of course, you as a teacher, you really know that the problem that you are experiencing wherein your students as well are struggling on that certain problem that they are also experiencing, you can really feel the urgency to address it. Kasi naman, of course, especially sa ganitong context about reading. So it's really alarming that they are already in the sixth grade and still they are reading slowly pa rin. And there are some students who are reading slowly and at the same time, they do not understand what they are reading. Okay? Now let's proceed to the second question. What strategies or approaches will be employed to address the problem as the plan of action? Ano daw yung mga posibleng mga approaches or strategies na maaari mong gamitin to address the problem? Number one. So here's the possible answer. I plan to provide them reading practice to develop their skills in reading faster. Okay, that is one of the possible interventions. So ayun, dito pa lang, you are already presenting a possible strategy or approach that you may use to address the problem. Now, for the third question, what resources or support are needed to effectively implement the action plan? Here's the answer. I need to find and produce reading materials for them to read, paper and printer for the reproduction. Now, for the fourth question, what are the potential barriers or challenges that could hinder the successful execution of the plan and how can they be mitigated? O ano mga posibleng mga barriers at paano mo siya i-mitigate o paano mo siya mapipigilan yung mga barriers na yun and challenges? The potential barrier I see is when I cannot prepare the materials and if my learners will be absent in class and not committed to improve his performance in reading. Okay? So gaya na ginawa natin doon sa first paragraph, we're going to combine all your answers here for us to create the third paragraph. So coherently combine all the sentences. So here is the combined sentences to form our third paragraph. Addressing this problem immediately is crucial because slow reading skills significantly impact learners' ability to actively participate in class discussions, comprehend text, and maintain focus. If the child is reading slowly, it can affect his confidence to speak and read in front of the class. By helping my students or by helping my pupils improve their reading skills, I can unlock their full potential and facilitate their overall development. I plan to provide them with reading practice to develop their reading skills faster. I need to find and produce reading materials for them, as well as paper and printer for reproduction. The potential barrier I see is when I will not be able to prepare the materials and if my learners are absent in class and not committed to improving their performance in reading. Saan ba galing ito? So this all came from your answers in the guide questions for the third paragraph. So ganun lang kadali. But, I also encounter concerns coming from teachers. Though, may mga teachers naman talaga na medyo nag-struggle sila when it comes to when it comes to framing their sentences and paragraph, they are concerned or they are conscious whether their grammar is correct, tama ba yung spelling nila. So, I know naman that when you are answer your guide questions, kayo naman talaga ang sumasagot nun. But for us to refine it and para mas maging para mas maging tama siya basahin and para mas maging confident tayo, pwede natin siya idaan sa mga generative AI such as ChatGPT. We'll ask the ChatGPT to enhance our paragraph or sentences. So it's not cheating when we use ChatGPT because ginamit natin siya para mas ma-enhance. So hindi naman yun siya cheating kasi tayo naman ang gumawa or sa atin ang galing ang idea. It's just that pina-enhance lang natin. And there's no wrong with that. Okay? Now, let's proceed with our fourth paragraph, which is all about the significance of the study. So just like with the previous paragraphs, like first paragraph and the third paragraph, we also have guide questions for this. Okay? So now, here are the guide questions for us to make our fourth paragraph, which is all about the significance of the study. So may tatlong tanong lang na dapat nating sagutin. Number one, what possible effects may the study's findings have on the teaching and learning process, assuming the problem is addressed through this action research? Pangalawa, who would benefit from the results of the study? And the third question that you're going to answer is, how many results of the study be applied in the school? Now, let us try to answer them one by one. Let us begin with the first question. What possible effects may the study's findings have on the teaching and learning processes, assuming the problem is addressed through this action research? Here's the possible answer. The results of this action research may have potential in the teaching and learning process because they may help teach slow readers to read fast. Pangalawa, who would benefit from the result of the study? Sino daw ang mga makabenefit? Of course, the primary beneficiaries of the study are the learners, and secondly, the teachers as well, who would learn other strategies for teaching slow readers to become fast readers. Now, for the third question, how many results of the study be applied in the school? So, paano mo na ito i-apply? Halimbawa, tapos na yung study mo. So, the findings of the study are used in the classroom through LAC sessions. So, you're going to share this with other teachers, where I can explain this intervention to my fellow teachers so that they can use it in their own classrooms. Considering our students have diverse needs and teachers require a variety of tools to handle a range of issues in the classroom. This intervention would provide teachers with another choice for dealing with reading issues in the classroom. Okay, so all we need to do now is to combine them, coherently combine all the sentences for us to make our fourth paragraph, which is all about the significance of the study. So here it is. The results of this action research may have potential in the teaching and learning process because it may help teach slow readers to read fast. The primary beneficiaries of the study are the learners and teachers who would learn other strategies for teaching slow readers to become fast readers. The findings of the study are put to use in the classroom through LAC sessions, during which I can explain this intervention to my fellow teachers so that they can use it in their classrooms. Considering our learners have diverse needs and teachers require various tools to handle a range of issues in the classroom, this intervention would provide teachers with anchor choice or another choice for dealing with reading issues in the classroom. And that's it for our first video about the action research proposal, particularly the context and rationale. Sa next video naman natin, pag-uusapan natin kung paano gagawa ng action research questions at ang ating proposed innovation, intervention, and strategy. This is me, Teacher Jello, and this is Chalk Talk with me, Teacher Jello. See you on our next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe.